Hi there, I'm Kira. Thanks for joining me today. This is the Hangman, the number 12 Major Arcana card. I'm using the Universal Weight deck. So let's have a look at this card. Perhaps pause the video and sort of take a moment to look at the card yourself in terms of what are the colors saying to you, what is the imagery saying, what do you think of this figure which is depicted as being upside down. And when you're ready, come back and let's have a bit of a talk about it. Okay, so the Hangman. Whenever I see this card in a reading, the first thing I think about is, okay, it's a very clear indication to surrender. You know, surrender your will, surrender your ego, connect with your unconscious. It's sort of about the times in our lives when it's really important that we have a sense of spiritual connection, or what our sense of connection to our higher self, or that which we draw upon, perhaps our intuition, where we feel there is something greater than our immediate self, and bring that present into our connection with our physical being and the world. So the imagery in particular that sort of brings about that sort of general meaning, you know, if we look at this, okay, so this is a figure of someone who is obviously upside down, okay, and in that position, you might notice, they are tied. One foot, the top foot, is tied to a branch, and this is the living world tree. Okay, and this tree is rooted in to the underworld, and it is also connected to the heavens. So this is this connection between spirit, or sort of the heavens, and earth. Okay, and so it's also then drawing your attention to remind you it's about conscious and unconscious. So it's about that which we know, so our external awareness as well as our internal awareness. You might notice, although the foot is tied, the other foot is freely it's been folded into a position to represent a triangle. So, you know, they're freely choosing to hang there, to sort of take time out. Okay, and you might notice the arms are bent behind their back, and if you look at this closely, it is indicating the form of a triangle. And that's really important because the number 12 is a 3, so 2 and 1 is 3. And in numerology, that is important for this card to remember, because it's around, you know, the 12. The 1 is beginnings, and the 2 represents sort of reasoning. So that's sort of, and the number 3 is about rebirth. So this card is really telling you about, if you suspend your will, if you are patient, if you take this time out, you know, it's a great time for meditating, even just taking that pause between the breath, you're going to see the situation very differently than you do at the moment. In other words, if you wait, the situation or your perception of the situation is going to change. Your inner wisdom, your inner knowing is going to change, and you're going to have an opportunity to have a different outcome. So there'll be a rebirth. So this card is really sort of directing you to it's not a time to make an immediate decision. It's about sort of now realizing that maybe you don't know all the facts, or maybe the situation hasn't fully evolved. Maybe there are other factors that need to play out that are perhaps outside of your control. Okay, but let's go back to the imagery. Okay, you've got this person there wearing sort of red pants, which represents human passion. So to me, that's passion. It's dynamic. It represents energy, you know, fire, you know, that. So there's, you know, that sort of physical energy that we draw upon in our life. You've got a blue coat. They're wearing a blue coat, which represents knowledge. So this is around awareness. So it really is drawing your attention to the importance of awareness. And the yellow shoes are representing sort of high ideals. And so that is the higher purpose, or the greater good. So that is an important part of this card as well. They've also got a bright yellow halo, which is about spiritual attainment. And so again, we've been really seeing that in this card, there's all aspects. There is definitely the aspects of conscious, unconscious, spirit, passion, as well as knowledge. And so all of that is being, in this moment, an important sort of saying, bringing all that together in a moment of stillness, patience, time out, is where the true wisdom to the answer to the situation, or the best possible outcome to the situation. Okay, so so that being patient and suspend your will and ego is an often way that this card is described. So what might you note in a particular situation? So, well, the hangman is going to reflect that there is obviously in the situation there is action wanted or desired. However, it is not the time for taking direct action. That there'll be an element of indecision. Okay, and so if you do go ahead and make an action, it's likely not to be the outcome that is the best possible outcome. If you postpone the decision, take some time out, reevaluate, it's definitely a time for evaluation. If you even just take time out to sit with yourself, and as I said, it's that pause between the breath moment. It's that take. So it may not be days, may not be hours that you wait. It's about taking that time out, taking that breath, really sitting with yourself, sitting to see what is your unconscious trying to tell you, what is your inner awareness saying, what is really going on here. Are there facts, figures, events that haven't revealed themselves yet that is very important to this decision? So it's about, it's like there's obviously, even if it seems like the action that's needed is urgent, even if the decision making seems urgent, you're really being encouraged to pause. A bit like just sort of pause for a moment, pause, and through that pause you will realize really what is the big picture and how long should you wait, or do you not should, but how long do you need to wait to have a better outcome. Also, you might notice that in this card, as I said, it's about evaluation. This evaluation could be both about being a situation or a project in work, or it could be an event, but it also could be that you are personally being evaluated. So it could be that perhaps outside of the scene you don't know that someone is evaluating you and your skills and your presence, and that is sort of the part of the puzzle that's still occurring in the environment that will influence the outcome. It's about the wisdom to accept the larger will of the divine, the larger will of your unconscious, the larger will of your inner knowing and being. And so it's waiting to see how that evolves before you move forward. So, you might also, going back to the imagery note, this person, although they've tied their foot so they can be in this inverted position, they're quite able. Their hands are actually free. Their other leg is free. They could easily free themselves if they chose. So therefore, as I said, it is a conscious decision to suspend your will. Also, this inverted position is drawing your attention to the fact that this is about suspending the ego. It's about, I don't know if those of you who maybe have studied yoga, a lot of yogis who are seeking to attain enlightenment there's a lot of, in history, looking at this inverted position helps a person find that place of true centeredness and focus to aspire towards enlightenment. So this position of being inverted is actually all about giving the focus and attention to your inner knowing and wisdom, to that place where you are connected to spirit, and in doing that removing some of the focus and attention on ego. When we're upright and we're running around engaging in the world, we definitely tend to be driven more by ego and our intellectual processes. And this is sort of reminding you that it's important, and there are times in your life when you need to suspend that and really go inward, go to that place of knowing and to the place where you connect with the divine or spirit. Okay, so if you try and push forward, you're going to find things will be slow, maybe things will be delayed. You might even find in a working relationship that the other parties are not ready, able, or willing, and so therefore that will have a less than desirable effect on your outcome. So it's about delay, having a bit of a delay in that responsiveness, and be okay with it. So that's the other thing. This is about freely choosing to suspend your will and be comfortable with that, sort of taking that deep breath and know that that is what's right for you, and that therefore that is what is going to be right for the situation. Suspend that intellectual desire to push forward and just implement the next action that seems to appear on the horizon. It also could indicate that in a project or work situation that it's time for you to do some really strong evaluations. Look at all the possibilities, look at all the opportunities. Break free from the norm or the way you've been doing it. There's another way to look at the situation. And therefore the decision making and the decision processes will change through this process of pausing. You might also find this card's indicating in a situation that you're wearing too many hats, you're burning out, it's just saying take time out, you're going to burn out, or there's an imbalance between your connection to spirit and your focus on the worldly physical interactions. In a relationship situation, it's not really the time to get into a strong relationship. The commitment's not going to last. It's about realizing that either you or the other party's not ready. There is a delay, and honor that and realize it's okay. By doing that, you will really begin to see whether there is greater potential for a commitment after you've had this time out and the other person's had this time out. Otherwise, you're just going to enter the relationship in a half-hearted way because you're not going to be all present, which is what is really being saying to you is really important. The hangman can also represent that sometimes that the situation or where you're coming from or the queer end is coming from is feeling very stuck or restricted in their life. And this is sort of saying to respect and honor that, to acknowledge that there are times in our lives when we feel stuck. And that the best way to release ourselves from those restrictions is to connect to our spirit, is to connect, to pause and to reevaluate, to listen to our unconscious. Let go, have that sort of emotional release, so as I said, it may be time to just take a week off and go, do an art class or go do a yoga class or go surfing, spend some time on the beach, whatever is your way to sort of rejuvenate yourself. It also might indicate that you need to, as I said, shift away from ego focus and really reconnect with your ability to show and be vulnerable in a particular situation and open yourself up to different experiences and to end the struggle or need for control, particularly ego control. And sort of in doing that, sort of realize that as you let go of all your worries and concerns, your ability to really move forward in a very positive and fruitful way will become a greater possibility, and definitely you'll have a stronger ability to move towards an outcome that is more desirable and suited for you. So that's just some of the things to think about when you see the hangman in a reading. Remember where it's positioned in the reading, depending on what kind of spread you're doing, is going to also add an element, and what cards are next to it are going to add an element. What cards are looking at the hangman. Remember the way the imagery falls in the spread is also very important. So I hope that was useful for you. If you'd like a private reading with me, please go to my website at kirawoods.com. I'd love to hear from you. Please connect with me on Facebook at Kira Woods Tarot and also Twitter. Thanks very much for joining me on my channel today, and I look forward to seeing you with my next video. Have a great day. Bye.